For months, rumors have circulated about Sweden's unexpected offer to sell Canada a full fleet of 88 Gripen fighters. At first glance, it looked like a simple defense export proposal, another attempt by a smaller nation to compete with the massive American F-35 program. But as new details surfaced and quiet diplomatic exchanges became harder to hide, it became clear that this offer was not about business alone. It was strategic, deliberate, and tied to something far bigger than just a fighter jet sale. The real story behind Sweden's 88 Gripen proposal to Canada reveals a combination of geopolitics, Arctic security, NATO power shifts, and the future of air combat independence. To understand why Sweden made this bold move, you must first look at what's happening in the Arctic. The far north is rapidly becoming one of the world's most contested regions. Melting ice has opened new shipping lanes, Russia has expanded its bases and air defenses, and China has declared itself a near-Arctic state. Canada sits at the heart of this new battleground, yet its fighter fleet is aging, stretched thin, and unable to maintain consistent patrol coverage. Sweden knows this, and because Sweden itself is an Arctic nation, it understands the realities of cold weather warfare better than almost any country. But why 88 jets? Why such a large and exact number? That number isn't random. It mirrors Canada's own official requirement for its next-generation fighter fleet. By matching Canada's needs perfectly, Sweden sent a silent message. They weren't offering a partial package. They were offering a complete alternative to the United States. And that's where the real reason begins to reveal itself. Sweden, even after joining NATO, wants to ensure that Europe is not entirely dependent on American stealth fighters. The F-35, despite its strengths, locks countries into a system controlled by the US. Maintenance networks, software updates, mission data programming, even weapon approvals. For many nations, including Canada, this reduces long-term sovereignty. Sweden's Gripen, by contrast, offers full operational independence. Canada could customize its electronic warfare profiles, adapt its mission data, integrate its own weapons, and train without American oversight. Sweden knows that Canada, one of the world's most sovereignty-focused nations, would see this independence as priceless. Another hidden reason is Norway. Sweden's neighbor and fellow Arctic nation operates the F-35. But behind closed doors, Norwegian officials have expressed concerns about operating costs and sustainment delays. Sweden sees an opportunity. If Canada, a major Arctic and NATO player, chooses Gripen, it would validate Sweden's entire fighter philosophy. It would prove that a non-stealth, highly flexible, cost-effective jet can rival the most expensive fighter in the world. Such a victory would transform Sweden's defense industry for decades. But this offer wasn't only about pride or symbolism. Sweden made the move because it sees Canada as the perfect partner for joint Arctic defense operations. Gripen E is engineered for snow, ice, short runways, dispersed missions, and rapid turnarounds. Sweden's doctrine revolves around surviving after enemy missiles strike air bases, fighting from highways, frozen fields, and remote areas. Canada faces similar challenges. The Royal Canadian Air Force desperately needs aircraft that can operate far from modern infrastructure, especially as tensions rise in the north. Sweden essentially told Canada, "We already solved the problems you're about to face." However, the real breakthrough comes from classified cooperation signals. According to insiders, Sweden offered Canada deep technology transfer that the United States would never allow with the F-35. This includes access to advanced EW algorithms, Arctic-adapted avionics, and even local assembly lines. Canada could produce parts or even full aircraft domestically, reviving its struggling aerospace industry. This kind of industrial control is something Canada hasn't had since the days of the legendary Avro Arrow. And Sweden knows how powerful that history is for Canadians. There's also a less publicized political angle. Sweden's defense industry relies on exports to keep costs down. Without big international partners, the Gripen E program risks stagnation. Offering Canada 88 jets isn't just an attempt to sell aircraft. It's an attempt to anchor Sweden's entire next-gen fighter ecosystem with a major NATO partner. Canada would essentially become Sweden's second hub for the Gripen program, ensuring long-term joint upgrades, shared development, and continuous modernization. For Sweden, that's more valuable than the sale itself. But perhaps the biggest hidden reason is the competition for influence within NATO. With Finland and Norway already flying American jets, Sweden does not want the Arctic airspace dominated by a single aircraft controlled by one country. By choosing the Gripen, Canada would create balance, an alternative defensive architecture in the north. This would reduce America's monopoly and increase Europe's role in defending Arctic routes. Sweden sees Canada not just as a customer, but as a strategic equal capable of shaping the future of northern defense. So the real reason Sweden offered Canada 88 Gripens isn't simply about selling airplanes. It's about Arctic dominance, defense sovereignty, NATO balance, industrial revival, and long-term geopolitical strategy. Sweden sees in Canada a partner whose needs, geography, and values align almost perfectly with the Gripens philosophy, and by making this offer, Sweden has quietly challenged the global fighter hierarchy, putting Canada at the center of a move that could reshape NATO's future. The deeper you look into Sweden's 88 Gripen proposal to Canada, the more you realize it wasn't a spontaneous offer. It was years in the making. Behind closed doors, Swedish and Canadian defense planners have been exchanging Arctic research, joint operational simulations, logistic studies, and cold weather performance data. What the public doesn't know is that Sweden has quietly modeled a Canada Gripen operational network since as early as 2018. The data they produced was astonishing. Canada's vast northern territories perfectly matched the Gripen's dispersed operations doctrine. Sweden understood something the world ignored. Canada's biggest weakness isn't firepower, it's distance. Thousands of kilometers of empty frozen tundra separate southern bases from northern sovereignty zones. Maintaining presence in these regions is extremely expensive with aircraft that require heavy runways, large maintenance teams, and climate-controlled infrastructure. Gripen is the opposite. It was designed to survive when bases are destroyed and runways are cratered. A small stretch of highway, a team of 5, and a mobile fuel truck is enough to keep Gripens flying. This is where Sweden saw opportunity. If Canada adopts Gripen, the two nations could integrate their Arctic defense playbooks. Both face Russian long-range bombers probing their airspace. Both must patrol areas where temperatures plunge below -35 degrees Celsius. Both must intercept aircraft operating near strategic waterways. A shared Gripen doctrine means shared training centers, joint exercises, combined upgrade cycles, and mutual operational support. Sweden wasn't offering jets. It was offering a blueprint for a binational Arctic shield. Another layer of the real reason involves the future of electronic warfare. Gripen's Arexis system is one of the most advanced EW suites ever placed on a non-stealth fighter. Sweden offered Canada something shocking: direct involvement in future EW development. This includes data sharing access that the US does not allow even to its closest F-35 partners. By partnering with Sweden, Canada gains influence in EW research, a field rapidly becoming more decisive than stealth itself. Sweden knows Canada has world-class robotics and AI talent. Integrating this expertise into Gripen upgrades would benefit both nations. Then comes the industrial component, the part Sweden rarely talks about publicly. Canada's aerospace sector has been weakened by decades of outsourcing, foreign acquisitions, and cancellations. Sweden offered Canada what no major power was willing to offer: sovereign assembly lines. That means jobs, technology transfer, domestic manufacturing, and long-term maintenance independence. The offer reportedly included co-developing new upgrades for years to come, essentially turning Canada into a secondary engineering hub for the Gripen program. This matters more than people realize. Sweden remembers what happened to the Avro Arrow, a moment when Canada almost led the world in fighter innovation before the project was shut down. Swedish diplomats quietly acknowledged that Canadians still feel that loss. Offering Canada a major role in Gripen production is Sweden's way of saying, Let's rebuild what you were denied. Politically, that would be a massive win in Canada, especially in regions hungry for high-tech jobs. Sweden also understands something very few nations openly discuss. The world is shifting away from total dependence on American-built platforms. Many countries love the F-35, but they fear being locked into a system where every upgrade, every software patch, and every weapon integration requires US approval. The Gripens philosophy, full user control, aligns perfectly with Canada's long-standing desire for sovereignty, especially in Arctic operations where independent decision-making is crucial. And then there's the NATO angle. With Sweden now a member, it aims to strengthen the alliance not through size but through specialization. Sweden brings world-class submarine tech, advanced radar systems, and unrivaled cold weather combat expertise. If Canada operates Gripens, Sweden gains a powerful partner to push for a more balanced NATO, one where European technology competes with American systems. This is not anti-US, it's pro-independence, pro-diversity, and pro-resilience. An overlooked part of Sweden's strategy is the emerging threat environment. Russia's air power is shifting toward drones, EW weapons, and long-range missiles. China is developing polar strategies. Stealth alone cannot solve these problems. Sweden knows Gripen's cost efficiency lets countries fly more hours, train more pilots, and sustain high readiness. Canada could double or triple its patrol frequency in the Arctic compared to an all F-35 fleet, something Sweden has modeled extensively. And finally, there's the political timing. Sweden's defense exports need a major partner before it moves fully into next-gen fighter development. A deal with Canada would stabilize its entire industry for decades. Likewise, Canada is under pressure to modernize quickly. Both countries stood at a rare intersection of mutual benefit. Sweden seized the moment. All these factors reveal a truth that was never publicly admitted. Sweden didn't offer Canada 88 Gripens because it wanted a sale. It offered them because Canada is the only country whose geography, politics, industry, and strategic needs align almost perfectly with the Gripen ecosystem. The offer was not commercial, it was transformational. It was designed to permanently link two Arctic-focused democracies into a shared defense future. As the details of Sweden's 88 Gripen proposal to Canada continue to emerge, the strategic picture becomes clearer than ever. This is not merely a fighter jet sale. It is a calculated move to secure long-term Arctic influence, strengthen NATO balance, and create a mutually beneficial industrial ecosystem. By offering Canada complete operational independence, Arctic-optimized design, and even partial manufacturing rights, Sweden positioned the Gripen not just as a jet, but as a cornerstone of future Canadian defense strategy. Canada's military planners immediately recognized the implications. Unlike the F-35, where mission data, software, and upgrades are tightly controlled by the US, the Gripen E provides Canada with full sovereignty over its fleet. This allows Ottawa to tailor electronic warfare systems, integrate custom munitions, and maintain full operational control without external oversight. In a world where Arctic routes are increasingly contested and where rapid, independent decision-making can define national security, this autonomy is invaluable. The industrial angle cannot be overstated. By becoming a co-developer and assembly partner, Canada gains access to advanced aerospace technology, research and development collaboration, and long-term manufacturing jobs. This isn't a temporary boost. It is a multi-decade program designed to revitalize Canada's aerospace sector. From advanced radar systems to avionics upgrades and potentially even propulsion components, Canadian engineers could work alongside Swedish teams, learning and contributing to cutting-edge fighter technology in a way that no other major program offers. From a geopolitical standpoint, the Gripen deal represents a subtle but profound shift in Arctic power dynamics. Canada's Arctic sovereignty has been challenged by increasing Russian patrols and emerging Chinese interests. Maintaining an all F-35 fleet, while technologically superior in stealth, is logistically and financially burdensome in remote regions. Gripen's cold weather readiness, rapid turnaround, and ability to operate from dispersed locations make it an ideal complement to Canada's northern defense strategy. In effect, Sweden is offering a solution that aligns perfectly with Canada's most pressing operational challenges. Moreover, the 88 aircraft number is deliberately aligned with Canada's projected fleet requirements. This shows Sweden's awareness of Canada's strategic needs and willingness to tailor its offer precisely. The proposal also includes technology sharing agreements that would enable joint upgrades, ensuring that both countries remain at the cutting edge of fighter development for decades. Such a partnership would create a permanent aerospace and defense corridor across the North Atlantic, reducing dependence on U.S.-centric supply chains and establishing a truly independent North American European defense axis. Sweden's offer also reflects an understanding of the broader NATO landscape. With Finland and Norway operating F-35s, Sweden seeks to diversify capabilities and reduce single-platform dependency. By bringing Canada into the Gripen ecosystem, Sweden ensures that Arctic defense is resilient, multi-layered, and technologically sophisticated. This isn't a move against any ally. It is a proactive strategy to create operational redundancy and enhance collective security in the North. The economic benefits are equally compelling. By localizing assembly and maintenance, Canada not only secures jobs and industrial growth, but also reduces life cycle costs, increases fleet readiness, and gains strategic control over critical technology. The Gripen deal is designed to create a long-term partnership where both nations can innovate, upgrade, and adapt to emerging threats together, rather than relying on foreign-controlled programs with restrictive access. Finally, there is the symbolic aspect. The Gripen's offer represents a revival of Canadian aerospace ambition, reminiscent of the Avro Arrow era. Sweden's willingness to entrust Canada with such responsibility signals trust and mutual respect. It acknowledges Canada as a serious Arctic defense player, capable of contributing to regional stability and high-tech military innovation. For Ottawa, this isn't just a purchase, it's a unique opportunity to regain technological sovereignty, strengthen its northern defense posture, and create an enduring industrial and strategic partnership. In summary, Sweden's offer of 88 Gripens to Canada was never just a commercial transaction. It is a carefully crafted strategic initiative designed to secure Arctic readiness, provide operational sovereignty, diversify NATO capabilities, revive Canadian aerospace industry, and establish a long-term North American-European defense partnership. Choosing Gripen would give Canada a flexible, cost-effective, and technologically advanced fleet, perfectly suited for its unique geopolitical challenges. This is the real reason behind Sweden's unprecedented proposal, and it is only now that the world is beginning to understand the full scope of its implications.